there. All right, welcome to the restarted game number 1, Mongols and Chinese, Error and TaToH versus Liereyy and MbL. The first game was a restart because of MbL's early scout aggression. We'll keep an eye on his scout early on in this one. He was able to run forward and steal a boar and get his opponent's scout errors, and get his opponent's scout dead, kill his opponent's scout. Therefore, Error called a restart. Error running around looking for his boars now. MbL is going to take a right here. He's not going to find his opponent's boar in this game. So we're going to see 2v2 on rivers here. This is a best of 5 semi-final in the Absolut Random Cup. Right now, players are scouting each other out a little bit. MbL coming forward, trying to steal a boar. Error and TaToH both kind of scouting defensively, trying to make sure that they don't get anything stolen. Neither of them know who they will be opposite of at the moment. Actually, Error is going to run forward here, and Error is going to find a boar. Error finds a boar and a sheep. The only problem is with finding that sheep is that MbL is going to know he's there. We may see another re here. We shall see Error right now stealing that boar. We'll take a look at the maps and see how this one's going to go down. But this boar steal is very consequential at the moment. If this boar gets stolen, we will probably see another restart. Yellow player is here and ready to try to block that scout from bringing in the boar. Where is the scout? Oh, he lost the attention of the boar. The boar got uninterested. Error here might not be able to steal that boar now. Error and TaToH do not have another restart, so if he were to lose his scout, that would be terrible. Certainly he can just run away from this. He's awfully close to his TC. MbL doing a good job to block that boar, and it does look like the blue player will run back. So I don't think we'll see MbL re out of this game because he did get his boar to run back, and I think we're going to see this one continue. However, that being said, Liereyy on the other side is stealing a boar. TaToH's scout is nowhere to be found. It's out in no man's land. So the green player here is actually going to steal this boar. He needs to make sure he doesn't lose it at the last second. Get a villager involved, man. What a beautiful boar steal. Green player here stealing the boar on the front side. Drops it in an imperfect location, but man, oh man, what a great boar steal early in the game. Losing a couple HP on his scout, but somehow getting in there and stealing TaToH's boar. TaToH and Error are going to have to play this out. They don't have a restart. Look at this, though. On the other side, MbL's scout is down. MbL, oh man, we turned away for 1 second. We have more boar stealing aggression. I do wonder if that's MbL's boar or if it is actually the boar. Yeah, well, there's 2 boars over here. MbL maybe just trying to come in and annoy the blue player Error, slow him down from taking his own boar. I do believe that's Error's boar, but I could be wrong. Could be making an error there. Looks like the blue player will steal MbL's scout. So one team stealing a boar, one team killing a scout. Docks coming down for multiple players as we speak. Everybody's looking around the map for the right place to dock. Okay, we finally have a brief moment to look these maps over. Fishing looks a lot better for TaToH and Error. If you look at the top side of this map, it does seem to be pretty decent. Luring in another boar right now is Error. Green player scouting his own teammate out, probably needing to help MbL find his own sheep. Green player is going to be working on helping his opponent, or his teammate rather, early on in this game. Taking some shorefish on the top side. Okay. MbL is going to have a nice safe area here. He's got a everything is pretty far from the water. He should be absolutely fine. Lots of resources in his back pocket. That's not really a huge issue, I don't think, on this map. The issue is being able to hold the land bridge and win the water. Blocking up this land bridge and building out a little bit of early water aggression is probably going to be the main factor in this game. No resources near the water either for the green player. Looks like there is just one passage between the green player, Liereyy, and TaToH. Looks like those guys will have just one point where they can cross there, at least without a transport ship. Blue and yellow player will also have 1 point of cross. Just one opportunity to cross. Middle Island has a little bit of gold. Nothing really too close to the water on either side. These secondary resource piles could be in jeopardy at some point, but certainly TaToH's going to have plenty of resource to work with that should be relatively safe. Building up his docks on the back, as is the blue player, going to be a huge bonus for Error and TaToH early in the game. Already transitioning to gold. Error will go with a quick feudal age, and this has to be galleys, right? Right? No, I don't know. Could be anything. He's going to build forward walls, and he could certainly knock those down and run in a feudal army if he wants to. We shall see how this one goes. By the way, is this rivers? I believe it is. I believe it is Rivers here. Philip Rivers, the map. Right now, fishing starting to be built up by each team. Feudal Age coming early for Liereyy and coming early for Error. So Mongols player will be up there early. Obviously, Mongols with the gather bonus will do a nice job, especially when you don't have your boar stolen in this particular game. Error able to defend his boar. Interesting, though. TaToH's going to have walls up on his side, but not anywhere close to the land bridge. He's not going to block off the land bridge. He's going to go ahead and wall back a couple of panels. Just going to make a rather large wall quite a ways back from that initial pinch point. There is still a gap there on the top side, and it does seem like Liereyy knows about it. Blue player hits the Feudal Age. What is Error up to? Error has 3 on gold at the moment and is doing, well, not too much. The dock at the moment is not busy. So I suppose we will see him continue to build up vills and boom up his population. Dock on the front side is building galleys. There you go. That dock on the front side, building up a galley as we speak. Gonna potentially run in and snipe some fishing, but you know what? MbL doesn't have any fishing, does he? Nope, just one dock on its way up. So Error will certainly control the water on that side of the map. Double docks on the front, building up galleys. Feudal coming in for MbL. He'll be a little bit later than his opponent, but he has not invested anything to lose just yet in water. Liereyy at the moment has a couple docks on the front, also building out galleys, also adding a third dock. Gonna stonewall that pinch point in the middle. Gonna stonewall the land bridge. Pangea is being walled up as we speak. TaToH just clicking to Feudal, so we may see TaToH and MbL with a little bit faster castle times. TaToH, though, does have one dock in the back, though it does not look like he's gonna go hardcore into galleys. Could be wrong about that. Let's see, TaToH still on the way to Feudal. Looks like he's starting to build up a bit of an eco. I would expect a fast castle out of him. Fast-ish castle, but we shall see. We shall see. Right now, blue player roaming across the map. He's got a scout into the territory of MbL. He's also fighting some galleys of Liereyy at the moment. So he doesn't get MbL. He doesn't get too much damage on MbL because MbL isn't fishing at all, but he will slow the building up of those docks. He'll make the green player chase him around and probably keep his attention, maybe giving TaToH some time to build up a bit of a navy of his own. Liereyy here is going to wall the pinch point between he and MbL. I find that pretty strange, but maybe he's going to stop any landing from coming in and spreading across that area. Oh boy, we see a dead vill there on the top side. MbL must have gotten a villager sniped by Lierey's boats, and Lierey's scout was here. I'm sorry, not Liereyy. MbL must have had his scout, a villager sniped by Error's boats and his scout. I saw Error's scout in there early. Error's got another scout, and oh my god, 2 more, 3 more vills dead on the bottom side. How is that possible? How is it possible? MbL losing vills? Oh my gosh. My apologies, guys. I was looking away from the best part of the action there. Green and blue boats here just posturing against each other, but MbL taking an awfully large hit. He's got some fishing out. Green player still trying to prop him up. Castle Age on the way for MbL and TaToH. TaToH at the moment still has not built out any boats. TaToH booming up and going to the Castle Age while his teammate seems to be playing pretty nicely 2v1, just trying to slow MbL down. He's doing a very good job of that by killing a couple vills there on the bottom side. But also by standing toe-to-toe with Liereyy on water, keeping Liereyy honest. Fletchy coming in for the green player. It looks like he will have that before Error. Looks like a decent fight going on the water. Seems like similar numbers of galleys, so the micro here could be rather important. Seems like it could end here in a stalemate. 5v5 boats still there. Fletching is in for both players. Green player had it first. We'll see if it ends up in a victory for him. Looks like it will. 3 boats left on that top side. Pretty much a stalemate. Fishing ship going down for MbL there. Oh, there's a 4th boat here for blue. Seems like he will maybe win the water. Boy, oh boy. Just fighting it down tooth and nail to the last boat. Reinforcements coming in the form of fire ships from MbL, so they will win that top side. Error right now is 2v1 on the water. His teammate going quickly to Castle Age, and we will see what TaToH does early on. Lierey's there, but Lierey's one galley that's there is not tasked to killing fishing ships. He needs to get on the ball and start taking down some fishing. In the middle, blue player roaming around, but he just doesn't have nearly enough galleys on the water to really do the damage he needs to do. Fire ships forward for MbL are going to do a whole lot of work. So MbL, although behind by several villagers here early on, is going to be to Castle Age. He's going to put some pressure on with some fire ships. and he's going to catch Error kind of off guard. Error was busy fighting Liereyy, and MbL kind of snuck in and stole some good damage. Fire ships coming out for the red player TaToH as we speak. TaToH's starting to mass up some archers there on the front. Seems to be dropping a second TC and a third TC. So TaToH will have a 3 TC build on his side. MbL will have a 3 TC build on his. Those two players will be booming up. The other player's not quite in castle yet, and the water is being fought for pretty aggressively. Lots of boats here for Liereyy. Liereyy sending galleys up, rather massed up. There will be fire ships there to meet him, but it looks like he's going to stand toe-to-toe here with TaToH. He's got enough boats here probably to get the job done, especially since he's isolated one fire ship from the other. TaToH's taken a ton of damage there before his second boat even gets in the picture. Third boat now in the picture. Blue player Error sending over a galley of his own. Eventually they should clean this up with reinforcements, one would think, but Liereyy with quite a bit of momentum there on that top side. Doing a nice job to micro down that fire ship. TaToH's going to need several of them, or one well-placed demo ship. Let's see how this goes down. One big demo ship blast could be a real big, important game changer to this Green Navy, but right now Liereyy doing a fantastic job on water. He's going to sail past this toward the fishing ships. TaToH's going to have another demo before the engagement, so all of that fishing is going to die on the top side for the red player. Red player losing a lot of ships on the top side. MbL just roaming around on the bottom for the time being. Castle Age is in for Error. Liereyy is still feudal, still building galleys pretty intensely. He's actually taken over the water pretty well with a feudal navy. Keeping the ire and attention of his opponents, and basically allowing his teammate to boom up a little bit. TaToH roaming around in the back area of Lierey's base. We'll keep an eye on those crossbows as we go. A couple demo ships out here early. Oh boy, that's a fire ship, sorry. Thought there were two built, and TaToH somehow got them both out in that one split second we looked away. Did not get any kills, did not get the number of kills that we maybe had hoped for him to get. Not able to win over the water. Liereyy seems to be still sailing around with lots of opportunity here to do maybe some more control, some more raiding, and some more annoyance. A couple skirms out on the field for the green player. He should be able to hold off this number of crossbows. Eventually, going to keep reinforcing skirms and keep going at it. Padded archer armor coming in for him. Right now, Liereyy is still feudal. How long is he going to be feudal for? Not for long. Just needs a little bit more gold and he will be good to go. Yellow player MbL roaming around the top side, taking down some fishing and putting some pressure on the docks of his opponent. Market coming for the green player, so he's starting to think about going up. He's lost his woodline and his gold, but he probably can buy that last little bit if he needs to. Has some skirms on the map, chasing around the crossbows right now of TaToH. TaToH needs to win this fight because it feels like his team is very, very far behind. Lierey's early investment in water was pretty darn productive. He was able to basically do a ton of damage to TaToH's fishing. TaToH and Error right now do not have any real fishing going at the moment. Right now it shows on our little overlay here. Oh boy, I can't even see it. It's all obscured. But the fishing is really decimated from those two players. Their water control is decimated. They need to have something going on land. If Liereyy clears this up, it's got to feel like a really, really strong opportunity for this team to win the game. The knockout blow could come from Liereyy and MbL early. Oh, sweet baby Jesus. Oh my gosh. All of those crossbows going down from TaToH, and things go from bad to worse for the red player here. TaToH losing all of those crossbows to mostly to one epic mangonel shot. You can see a couple dead Vil corpses here for Liereyy. That's going to slow him down a bit, but he controls the water with all of those. Oh boy. No, spoke a little bit soon. TaToH going kind of all in with a water crossing here. I think the green player knows about it. I think he saw it, those ships coming across, and he's chasing those Vils across the map with skirms. He's going to keep them honest there. Skirms will take forever to kill these Vils. Certainly needs to take down the crossbows first, but this is a big all-in sort of movement, I think, for TaToH. TaToH is in a lot of trouble here. He lost his fishing. He lost his initial army to really not get too many Vils down, and all of a sudden crossbows starting to look like they're on pretty low HP. They are dead. Villagers under pressure on the top side. TaToH is Castle Age. Let's go ahead and check on if he has units queued up already. Yeah, queuing up knights as we speak. So he's eventually going to get the job done here. He may lose a Vil, but it's going to take a long time. These skirms are ever so slow. Knights should come out and clear that up. MbL on the top side taking down TaToH's dock. He's also put some pressure on the blue player's dock. Chain barding armor coming for Error as we speak. Knights are out. They're going to clean up these skirms. Looks like all 3 of TaToH's vills did survive for the time being. One of them, though, on 1 HP. Green player needs to get a shot in on that vill. Good dodge work there from TaToH, but eventually he does lose that vill on the top of the hill. So the green player, while that was going down, quickly stonewalled his side and may be able to hold out these knights for some time. Going to drop a TC on that top side gold. Should keep it relatively safe. He's still roaming around on the water looking for some action. Done a lot of good raiding, but I think that the resources that we saw early on are not going to be accessible by his galleys. There's no resources right on the edge here. We're going to see a castle drop from TaToH there to protect that coast. Knights are not quite in. They are just barely, there's just no space for them to jump in. Monastery coming for the green player, and he's going to defend Knights here probably pretty easily. TaToH's going to need something more than Knights. Wolves are in play. Villager on 23 HP. As long as she turns around and fights, she should be okay. But boy, oh boy, it would be nice. Would be nice for Liereyy to see that Vill go down to a wolf. Does not seem to be the case. She's going to live on 5 HP. University coming for the red player. He's going to need some siege, though, I do think, to get those walls down. Imperial Age coming for MbL, who has been a little bit quiet, other than a couple of fire ships roaming around. He'll have a university of his own. 1 Mangadai standing on that panel of the wall, brilliantly positioned there from MbL. Going to keep a hole open in that wall from the blue player while more Mangadai work their way forward. Looks like Error will take 1 step back and drop a panel. So he will be okay on that side. He'll finish the walls on the top. There is still an opening up here, though. Keep that in mind. MbL right now is focused on working his way through it. Oh, here we go. Demo ship. Demo ship in play for MbL. MbL moving villagers forward. Enough vills here to look like a castle drop. It is going to be a castle drop. So MbL's got momentum on his side. Right now, the red player is still trying to get something going on his own side. Blue player Error did sneak some knights in here. Error snuck these knights in here while I was looking away. I was twiddling my thumbs. MbL quick walling across the entire top side with houses, making those knights run through a labyrinth. Double TC Arrowfire will eventually take these knights down, +2 defense for the time being. They're going to be relatively beefy, but when they do get cleaned up, the blue player is going to he's going to need some villager kills on his hands to make it all worth it. Looks like 3, 4, 5, 6, at least a good half dozen vills dead there, probably more. A lot of garrison time, a lot of lost production time. Fighting in the shadow of that castle, not ideal at all. I do hear a monk out on the field. So this is going to get cleaned up. MbL is going to survive a little aggression there. He's going to have 104 vills. TaToH's going to have a similar type of boom. He's going to have a very large economy, and he will be in the Imperial Age relatively soon. So not a great early game for TaToH, but he is still alive. Blue army has landed on the island of MbL. More knights coming in as we speak, coming out 3 by 3. They will continue to raid the yellow player. Yellow player MbL seems a little bit more interested in building out castles on the front side, taking over a bit of his opponent's resources. 2 castles in series here will be really strong. Gonna have some petards as well. He's gonna force his way through these walls as fast as he can. But there isn't anything immediately that those castles will take away. So more walls coming from the blue player. He's going to take a step back and keep blocking in his side. Error has a nice landing on MbL. Yes, indeed, he does. He's got 4 stables there on the bottom side. MbL does not seem to really be responding to it. He's spending his time moving forward, building out more castles, going bloodlines, going bracer. So he's thinking about Mangadai for the time being, and he's just going to try to let his own economy defend itself, I suppose, for now. He's got a couple of Mangadai here who look like they will be in defense. We did see the blue player somehow work his way through these green walls. Not sure if there was a demo ship involved or something that knocked down a panel. I don't know what happened there. Something happened. Those walls went down. Blue player now trying to roam in on Liereyy. Brief pause in the game seems to be over. Imperial Age in for the red player, also in for MbL. Mangadai starting to get beefed up by MbL, chasing the blue player across the map. Lierey's got to plug up that hole in the wall. That landed army from the blue player is being rather effective on the top side. Red player not able to do much. The one detriment, though, to Error there is that he's running into a base that has a bunch of monks. Liereyy built some monks when he saw TaToH's landing, so he is ready for knight aggression. MbL probably building up some monks of his own, one would think. to deal with what is inevitably going to be more knights. Knights coming 3 by 3 by the blue player. This is his chance to get his team back in the game. Doing a pretty good job at raiding for the time being. Oh yeah, lots of vills caught out here in the middle of no man's land. MbL is going to lose some vills there on the bottom side. He's going to send 4 or 5 Mangudai to kind of hang out in the shadow of this TC Arrowfire. He's going to drop a castle there in defense. MbL dropping the castle, but doesn't have any vills garrisoned in the TC, so he needs his Mangudai to clean up these last couple of knights. Needs to clean up the knights. Blue player Error is really all in this aggression, sending knights as fast as he possibly can. He's trying to get in there and stop this castle from going up and or kill as many villagers as possible. He's got to set MbL back a little bit here. MbL in the Imperial Age relatively early, 96, 97, 98. Castle is up on the top side. So that's going to slow Liereyy down a bit, but it's not the greatest castle in the world because the blue player can probably knock down a house and run those knights through this side around the wood line and still into MbL's economy. That one castle should not solve everything, but that's just my opinion. We'll see how it goes down. Red player pushing on the bottom side. Looks like he will be there with capped rams, pushing on Liereyy as hard as he can. 4 or 5 rams in. He's got Cavalier. He's ready to make maybe a castle drop. I don't know. Lots of vills coming forward here. At least they're going to be mining for the time being. So TaToH's got a little bit of a push coming in on Liereyy. MbL's being annoyed by his opponent quite a lot on the bottom side. He's got some petards coming forward. He will send Mangudai to the corner. He will send villagers to the corner. I wonder if he's worried about this zone. I don't know what is going on. He's sending a lot of vills out to kind of no man's land. Maybe he's going to build up a secondary bit of water? I don't know. That would be weird. What is MbL up to here? What is MbL up to? Is he going to build a bridge over troubled water for us? Sending vills to the corner and Mangudai to the corner. We'll keep an eye on him. Right now the action is the siege rams coming in and Cavalier all over the place. TaToH going heavy camel. Not exactly sure why he's going with that for the time being, but he's going to be raiding his opponent pretty well. Lierey's in a lot of trouble now all of a sudden. Liereyy had some monks out, but not nearly enough, I suppose, to deal with an army of this size. His castle is not even coming down. That's MbL's castle, I see. MbL trying to send villagers to his teammate's side to build a castle. I think these vills were tasked to that, but there's no opening in the wall anymore? I don't know. Something funky happened there, and it looks like it's going to be too little too late. This castle is not going to come down for MbL, and it's not going to be able to help his teammate. TC going down there for the green player, getting his economy pushed all the way to the corner, trying desperately to build up barracks. MbL will respond with elite Mangudai and probably help push this back. The blue player, though, is going to be left alone to his own devices for the time being. MbL responding to this aggression. He's got plenty of Mangudai. Mangudai doing very well against siege. Should clean this up relatively quickly. We will see more villagers go down. We will see Liereyy falling quite a ways behind with all of these idols. But at least for the time being, MbL will clean up this insurrection in his base. No villagers coming forward to build up that castle just yet. Looks like that TC will stand on the top side, so Liereyy able to keep it going there. TaToH's got his castle in defense, and that's about it. Nothing really here to be raided except for this clandestine mining camp, but for the time being, MbL may start to head back to his own side. No, he's going to head forward to the several war galleys in there and a couple fire ships in there from TaToH. TaToH winning over the water here in the Castle Age. He's going to lose his ships there to Mangudai. So Mangudai keeping MbL's team in the game, but there are still 8 Cavalier here roaming around on the bottom side for TaToH. TaToH is in the back area of Lierey's base. Right now we've seen the blue player very, very quiet. What is Error up to? Error is getting chemistry. He's going heavy demo ships, switching to light cav. He still can do so much raiding. I don't know exactly why he's not doing that. He's lamed up a little bit of MbL's gold, but not enough to really be meaningful. He can easily run into the top side here with some light cav, and I think he's going to do that relatively soon. He is absorbing some pressure from MbL for the time being. MbL is going to be able to deny that castle. Skirm's coming over en masse right now for the blue player, stabilizing his own side of the map. He and TaToH are way ahead on villager count. 240 vills for that team, 180 for the opposite team. So they're in really good shape villager-wise. Error here seems to be making a bit of an army transition, heading over to Skirms. He's going to finally have a castle up on that top side. Looks like for the time being, he's not going to be raiding in just yet with the light cav. Red player has been cleared up on the bottom side. I don't see any more Cavalier in there, but all of a sudden the Red Navy is looking pretty mean. Looking like a pretty mean navy of war galleys roaming around the map. MbL's 2 castles here will put a lot of pressure on those ships as they walk through the middle. Walk through the center of this pinch point, and they're actually going to take a lot of damage. Mangudai engaging them sort of in the wrong spot. It'd be nice to engage them under these castles. Let's see if that ends up happening. MbL will take the hill for the time being. Red player will. He'll just keep roaming around on the water looking for somebody to do damage to. Let's see. Skirm still roaming across the map for blue. Here come those blue light cavalry from Error. Error here is going to get in some really good raiding. MbL is just not really built to sustain light cav pressure all over this base. He's actually walled a lot of these villagers out from the main area. You can see these houses are really going to slow those vills from getting back to the TC. MbL sending villagers en masse to somewhere, but where? Right now they are on a death march. They are just getting absolutely chewed up and spit out. 115 vills for MbL. Let's see what the number is after all this raiding gets done. In the meantime, Red player will be raiding with heavy camels. Not exactly sure why he went with heavy camels here, but he's sending those in, and he's doing good damage with them. There's plenty of them on the field. Just a couple of pikes in defense. They'll eventually get cleaned up, but they're going to kill quite a few vills and idle a lot of gathering time. Blue player starting to get cleaned up on the top side. MbL is down to 109 vills, so we saw at least 6 or 7 more vills after that initial raiding continue to go down. Blue player is, for now, idling the stables on the top side. Red army seems to be mostly a navy for the time being. Tons of heavy demo ships, tons of galleons. Galleys are going to be putting pressure on the pinch points here where the water meets the land. Doing good damage on that top side. We can see the blue player with quite a lot of trebs. He's getting a little bit of pressure from a couple galleys from green. Trebs seem to be in a weird position for the time being, but maybe he'll roll those over to a better spot. Demo ships are going to roam around and look for the huge hit, but I don't know if it's going to come here, at least not for the time being. So right now it's looking awfully good for TaToH and Error, but they're just not really able to deliver a knockout blow in this game just yet. Not able to deliver a knockout blow in this game just yet. Chukonu on the top side doing some raiding. Green player is going to drop a siege workshop in defense. Chukonu are going to do fantastically well against pikemen. Center island is something worth grabbing. Cannon galleys in for the red player, starting to knock down MbL's castles. We see onagers on the field for the blue player. He's going to be able to defend MbL's continued aggression, question mark. At least for the time being, he's going to sustain quite a lot of damage from MbL's Mangudai. MbL's got a couple of trebs up in the middle there. He's got Mangudai in there raiding, and he seems to have a pretty good raiding party going on. On his own side, you can see the yellow side of the map is relatively clean. So right now he's getting in free raiding on his opponent. Error down to 105 vills might give Liereyy a chance to get back in this game if MbL can gut out Error for the time being. However, that being said, Chukonu still raiding on the bottom side. Not that many of them, but they're still alive. They're still idling that economy. Right now, Liereyy, just with 5 idols, but only 62 vills. Just continuously being basically beat up by his opponent, TaToH. TaToH going quickly to the castle, MbL going quickly to the castle age, and it seems like TaToH's getting a lot more damage in than MbL, at least for the time being. Great raiding there from the blue player for quite some time. He's expanding his eco over into TaToH's base, but the Mangudai right now are unanswered. There's nothing at the moment to put these Mangudai in check. 3 trebs coming forward, siege rams coming forward. MbL could take that entire side of the map. He's also roaming across the bottom side with Mangudai as well. So he's going to help out his teammate quite a lot. It's going to bolster those pikes from the green player Liereyy. He's actually going to clean up TaToH there on the bottom side. Boy, oh boy. So galleons in the middle and cannon galleys will be able to take down these castles and open up the middle area for more raiding. But for the time being, these castles aren't really important to the push. MbL's push is an army-based push. He's basically roaming in with Mangudai. These numbers will eventually dwindle. He doesn't really have the ability to reinforce these guys too much. But for the time being, they're alive and they're doing so much good damage. Needs to get these siege rams to work. Needs to regroup the Mangudai. I think he will do that and start moving forward. MbL's got a real serious push sustained on his side. Green player has completed the walls on the top side, and he will be relatively safe for the time being. TaToH's taking his foot off the gas there for a minute, but he's going with 3 more archery ranges. TaToH has transitioned to a massive navy. He's going to control the water and do a lot of good damage, but anything that's not within reach of the water is really fairly safe. I'm not sure if TaToH's aggression there is going to pay off as much as having a big land army like MbL might. MbL is going to drop a castle on that side and a stable so he can start to reinforce this. He has taken over some gold from the blue player. He's taken over some stone. Blue player losing a lot of resources there. He'll have 3-4 castles in this zone, starting to put up markets. Maybe he's going to get some trading. So we have siege onagers in for the blue player. He's trying to hold his side. It's really 2 players on offense, 2 players on defense at this point. MbL seems to be on offense. TaToH seems to be on offense, but their teammates right now are just trying to hold the line. If you can hold the line and basically take down a bunch of units in the process, you can really help your team win. Liereyy finally getting to the Imperial Age, way behind his teammate, but he is alive. He is starting to build that economy back up, 74 vills for the time being. TaToH and MbL way behind on villager count. This army in the middle needs to survive for MbL. I think this is absolutely essential. He will have a couple onagers out on the field, or a onager out on the field. He's going to push back these elite skirms for the time being. But this army from Error is eventually going to be big enough to dwindle MbL down a little. MbL can now reinforce because he's got a couple stables, he's got a couple siege workshops, and a couple castles there. But the Treb fire is coming in, and he's got to make a decision pretty much now. I think he's got to make a decision as to whether he's going to push against this army from the blue player or not. This is a really nice play, I think, from Error. He's got a ton of counter units there. MbL is going to have to come in against him, and we'll see how the initial shots go down. First couple shots in on the Trebs, but he's not able to kill them. Quite a few siege onagers there. Just, oh my gosh, roaming in so many big shots. MbL taking so much damage on that top side. Siege onagers absolutely decimating MbL's army. MbL now is in so much trouble. If he could have taken down those Trebs with his own onagers, he might have had a chance there to basically rest back under these castles and build up a bigger army. But man, oh man, he's getting decimated again. The onagers will eventually go down, but these Mangudai were really important to keep on the field. MbL losing quite a lot of those. Treb is still up. 1 Treb still up. Red player still raiding on the bottom side, but not really doing that much meaningful damage there. What's important, I think, is that MbL's army is dwindling. MbL's offensive pressure on that side is really slowing down. He's diverting some of his attention to maybe taking on TaToH here. TaToH's landing is not controlling a whole lot of gold or good resources, but it is nonetheless an option for TaToH to launch an offensive from. So MbL's going to clean that up. TaToH's spreading boats all over the map. TaToH Xing in the middle of the map. It does look like Error has this absolutely... It seems like he absolutely has the right strategy here. He's kind of playing the defender. MbL will get a nice shot in on him. But at least for now, he's doing a really good job at basically baiting MbL into relatively bad fights. MbL having to take on relatively bad fights because he can't really afford to lose these castles. He can't really afford to lose this landing. I say that because it's my opinion, but maybe he thinks differently. Siege Rams coming in. He's going to aggressively go after those Trebs. He's got a couple of shots left on this castle. Treb will go down probably before this happens. Let's see. Treb is up, 740 health left on the castle. MbL basically timing that fight at the last possible second to keep his castle alive. He'll roam forward with Mangudai. Elite skirms here need to focus on the Mangudai. They seem to be doing so relatively well. We've got Mangudai for the blue player, focusing down the siege as much as he possibly can. Looks like MbL will win the day, but he's going to do it at a horrible cost. Look at all of the dead Mangudai there on the top side. The blue player's investment, I just don't think was nearly as much as MbL, and he is doing a really good job to keep that army, keep grinding down that army as much as he can. Raiding again with light cav is Error. I like the cut of Error's jib this game. MbL, though, still alive on that side, still pushing a little bit onto TaToH. TaToH has built up another army in that forward area. Lierey's taken over that last bit of gold for the time being, but he's going to lose that to these Cavalier. So we got a barn burner here in Game 1, guys. We've got a hotly contested game. Scores suggest that TaToH and Error are a little bit ahead, but Liereyy is kind of getting his way back into this game. MbL, though, just getting decimated on villagers. Just lost about 30 vills to some raiding. He is in a little bit of trouble. However, his army is still alive on the top here. He is pushing on Error. He's alive for the time being. He's got to keep this army going. I think he knows that he's kind of all in to do a little bit of damage here. Going to take over a bit more land, knock down a couple of archery ranges and siege workshops, keep his opponent Error on his toes. Error right now floating really no food, no gold, but he does have quite a bit of stone in the bank and quite a bit of wood. Liereyy is really pushed to the max on resources on every front. Looks like TaToH will have a bit of food, bit of wood. MbL also pushed to the brink. So we're late in the game here. There isn't a whole lot left to mine out on this map, but players still fighting it out. It is a tournament game. It is an important one to fight to the finish. Nobody's delivered a decisive winning blow just yet, but I do think MbL's economy shrinking there is relatively important. I think Error is doing a really good job right now. Running to the back area here, he's going to find some trade. He's going to basically make sure nothing goes on. He can raid this wood line pretty hardcore, and he's going to head that direction. Trade has been started from the green player Liereyy, but Lierey's going to have his own trade chased around for the time being. He and MbL will trade, I suppose, from this market down to the bottom. They just don't control enough of the map because of TaToH's water control to really trade any different of a distance. That is really the longest distance that they can trade for the time being. So Liereyy is rebooming, but MbL is getting hit fairly hard. They're still way behind on villager count. TaToH right now is pop capped. We should see what TaToH's up to. He might be slinging a little bit of resource to his teammate if he can. Looks like there is good damage raining in from Galleons on all sides from TaToH. MbL's big army here in the middle is absolutely paramount to his team winning. Blue player will defend with siege onagers. He'll have quite a few Mangadai. He needs to maybe add in some more skirms, I would think, just because, you know, he's not pop capped and he needs to defend against MbL. More stables coming in from the blue player as we speak, and let's just see what the stats suggest. It suggests that TaToH has 3 of the relics, MbL has 2, so not a huge difference there in gold, but a little more gold coming in for TaToH from those relics. Green player Liereyy on the top side is raiding with mostly trash here, just trying to keep the pressure on those top buildings. Eventually he will clean that zone up, but there's going to be nothing left for him to mine when he gets there. There's going to be nothing left. There's one panel of gold, 162 gold, but, you know, taking those buildings on the top side with not too much aggression. TaToH's got another landing now, double stables there. MbL with nothing at home to defend this. I like this play a lot from TaToH. So Error is holding the line versus MbL for the time being, although MbL's army looks pretty mean. Pretty mean looking army from the yellow player. But right now MbL about to get raided on land, and that could really be the decisive blow that wins this game. MbL can't reinforce this army forever, especially if his eco gets gutted. Still has a lot of food and wood in the bank, no gold, no stone, of course, at this point in the game. Big fight ensuing, though. This is really the fight for the game. If Error can defend this even somewhat well, he should be able to help his team win. Siege Onager starts raining in, gets a couple good shots in on the trash for the time being, though. MbL's push continues. Mangadai getting a ton of damage in. MbL just roaming on the front side, using those light cav as a meat shield. Sending forward siege rams. They're going to take a few siege onager shots for the time being. Lots of the defense is up. Trebs are focusing down the siege onagers, and they're getting them from time to time. Siege onager numbers starting to dwindle, just 4 left. MbL focusing them down with Trebs, and he's doing a darn good job at it. Just 2 siege onagers left now. MbL still roaming forward. However, quite a few Mangadai in defense. Unfortunately for MbL, he's losing a lot to get that ground that he's winning. MbL winning ground, but he could lose his Trebs here to another good onager shot. Yeah, loses both Trebs there on the top side. Mangadai going to push him back. MbL's push here is not only absorbed, it's going to be probably beaten back by the blue player Error. Siege onagers making a huge difference there. Some cheeky play from MbL with a couple of Trebs focusing on those onagers, and he does really do a lot of good damage to Error. But that is a stalemate there on that side, and that is exactly the opposite of what you want, because the clock is really ticking for MbL. Clock is really ticking for MbL. Double stables from the red player, still more stables here from blue. Their landings are still alive on both sides of the map, and they're still putting pressure on the economies of MbL and Liereyy. Right now, Liereyy has boomed back up to 100, but MbL has been dropped down to 62. So we've got a game on our hands. Lots of idols for Error at the moment. 60 idols. His huge villager advantage over his opponent MbL is not being utilized. Wood seems to be the limiting factor on this map. Market's coming up for the blue player. It looks like we might be totally out of wood on TaToH's island. In addition, the island on the bottom that is so hotly contested seems to mostly be out of wood. Red player TaToH taking some wood on that top side. Players desperately in need of wood. This map is almost completely lumbered out. I don't know, it's completely chopped out, guys. These fights on the front are important. Efficiency is really important. You just can't really reinforce these armies forever. We'll see those trebs slowly working on MbL's castle again. MbL's still got a good wood line or 2 to work with, 3 to work with. If he can beat back the raiding, he should be able to sustain himself quite a bit longer. TaToH going to start taking wood on that top side. Green player has 1 more good wood line. He has 2 more good wood lines, so he's in decent shape. So maybe, just maybe, that's going to be the saving grace for MbL and Liereyy here. MbL and Liereyy certainly have a chance. They have more wood. The question is, can they keep their armies on the field? Can they keep up the aggression? Right now, military units for MbL just 33. Having trouble with his teammate only on 20. Having trouble keeping up with the Joneses at this point in the game. Mangadai roaming forward, 3 trebs for Error. Error's doing a great job to just slowly whittle down MbL's forward aggression. MbL sneaking out Hussars from time to time here, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to make up the difference that is... basically, the difference at this time seems to be that the blue player he's got siege onagers, he's just kind of absorbing some aggression, he's baiting MbL in to try to take on these trebs. 4 trebs working on that castle should make pretty quick work of it, even though it is an uphill battle. Mangadai roaming in, they're going to grab down some trash. Siege rams coming forward, siege onager shots miss for the first barrage. These trebs could go down, it's possible. It looks like they'll get in another volley. Nice siege onager shot there, 1 treb goes down, but here comes the last volley of shots that matter. MbL loses that castle on the top side. MbL on top of that hill will lose his castle. Hussar coming in for Error. Error is doing a very nice job to clean up MbL on that side. Raiding now with Halbs, just continuing to send trash into his opponent's eco. The score difference is now about 3,400 on average between these two teams. It's looking like the TaToH and Error team is slowly squeezing the life out of MbL and Liereyy. MbL and Liereyy are just slowly being dwindled. MbL's forward here is starting to get trebbed down. He doesn't have a lot to defend it. He's going to keep streaming out Hussars. He can find this top side and raid it. That might be relatively useful for him, a little bit of a consolation prize, but he will eventually get cleaned up there. Just 1 treb left on his feet, but another treb or 2 from Error could do a great deal of work. Obviously no gold left on the map for the time being. Players trading with themselves, trying to run a small trade route across one island. MbL and Liereyy unable to do so for the time being. MbL and Liereyy are unable to trade because of all the raiding continuously coming in to MbL's base. MbL will send those Hussars to the topside wood line here to idle the wood economy of his opponent TaToH. Let's look around the map here real quick. Error's got about 1,800 wood. Lierey's pretty low. TaToH's got enough for the time being. MbL is almost out of wood. Wood is very limiting. Gold is very limiting at this point in the game. Everybody's trying to stream out trash and keep their farming eco going, but you need wood for it. You gotta have wood, baby. Right now, the market's under pressure there from MbL. The aggression mostly cleaned up. TaToH just roaming around with a couple of halbs and a couple of rams. But MbL's eco is in shambles, 67 vils. His teammate Liereyy has had time to reboom, but exactly what Liereyy can do militarily right now remains to be seen. Sending in trash to help his teammate out for the time being, probably slinging a bit to MbL, one would expect. Let's see, right now, let's see if there's been a lot of slinging going on in this game. So yeah, MbL has received quite a lot of tribute, Liereyy not very much. Seems like Liereyy has been slinging MbL a ton of food. We will keep an eye on that at the end of the game, but right now, big fight in the middle. Mangadai holding the line for the blue player Error, adding in some Hussars of his own. He will stop this push from MbL. MbL's trying to tank damage with the siege rams for as long as he can and get in some good damage and slow this army down. 1 good onager shot in there, but not quite enough to get the job done. MbL and Liereyy will call GG. So game 1 will go to TaToH and Error here. Really nice job to squeeze this game out. I felt like they were a little bit behind early on, but they made up the difference. Liereyy was in feudal for so long, he got raided on the top side by TaToH and just never could get back into the game. Let's look at the achievements real quick, and let's see how we did here. Looks like tribute sent and received. Yeah, it looks like TaToH receiving a ton of sling from the blue player, and MbL receiving a ton of sling from his teammate. All right, I'll quickly jump out of this game. We will put the overlay on, and I will try to connect with my co-host for the next game. Oh yeah, that's right. We have a little bit of team action here.
Microphone activated. Sound resumed.
Can you hear me, my friend? Wick's mic is muted for the time being, but I think I'm going to be joined in just a second by the man, the myth, the legend. There he is. What's up, man? Speak to me. Can you hear me, my friend?
Hey, can you hear me right now?
I can. Let's just do a quick levels check. You want to say a couple things and people can compare and see if our voices are somewhat similar?
Okay, sure. Yeah, sorry. I was having a little bit of computer issues, but I think everything should be fine now.
Gotcha. Sounds good. To me, it seems like you're a bit lower than me. Do you have like a gain knob on your mic that you could turn up a little?
Let me check real quick.
We'll wait and see what the people in the Twitch room say, in the Voobly official room. While he works on that, guys, what a heck of a game one. Absolute tour de force there. TaToH winning over the water. Relatively important in that game, but the inability of MbL and Liereyy to control their own side of the map was a huge problem. Both players got landed. Both players were constantly raided. 2 minutes left on the spectator delay. We'll jump into this one. We'll make some adjustments on the fly and see if it's all good. All right, she's fixing her hair, says you could be louder, but let's see if we can do it. You can also, I think you can increase your level on TeamSpeak as well.
Yeah, you can adjust me as well, by the way. I'm not sure if you already up me or...
Gotcha.
I don't think I can really up myself a lot more.
All right, we'll do the best we can here. Let's see, change volume. Okay. Say something, my friend.
Test 1, 2, 3 test to be very original.
I think that's pretty good. We're going to have to roll with it because the game is launching and I don't want to miss a second. Didn't have time to update the scores, guys. Sorry. Trying to get all the things done. We will update the score here in just a moment. The score is 1-0 for error in TaToH. My apologies. Just too many things going on. This is Killer B. I am here with Wick. We're going to do a 2v2 game. This is the semi-final matches of the Absolut Random Cup. What do you think about this one, partner? Did you see game one?
I tried to follow as much as possible from game one, and I saw most of it, but not every detail. I only saw that, from what I saw, I think it was a really nice matchup. And it's really interesting, but I suggest we focus on game 2 for now, as there seems to be a whole lot to talk about.
Yeah, so
considering the maps and civilizations right now.
Yeah, so we're going to see Mayans, Aztecs here on Arabia. Random. Actually, this is the map of the losing team from game 1. The losing team was Liereyy and MbL. Sorry, I haven't gotten a chance to update the score, but you guys now know that it is 1-0 for error in TaToH. Best of 5 matchup here. We've seen early scout aggression, so we need to keep an eye on the scouts here early before we get too much into the maps. We've seen stolen sheep and boars, and MbL here will steal 2 sheep and a boar. Error and TaToH already used their re because MbL was able to steal a boar in one game previously, so they will not be able to re out of this. If MbL steals this boar and he does it successfully, he's going to have a huge bonus, and his opponents will have nothing they can really do about it except trying to do some stealing of their own. On the other side, Error is going to steal 2 sheep and probably a boar as well from the teal player Liereyy. Oh boy, early shenanigans, my friend.
It's actually really important because MbL and TaToH being on the same side, both being Aztecs, that additional food that MbL is stealing right now is going to be huge in getting your Drush out and continuing to FC from there on. So he's already getting a huge advantage, and TaToH not really able to lame anything back. He's pushing his deer in to compensate a little bit for the food, but still, he will be lacking 2 sheep, which is kind of a big deal, especially with all that food that's going into the Drush, and it seems like MbL is actually dropping the boar now, so I hope he's going to get it back in time.
Or is he? That poor starting to try to run home.
Oh wow,
MbL
the boar doesn't really care about the eagle poking him with a stick. Okay, it seems like he's back on track right now, so he should be able to get it in. And we actually see Liereyy stealing a ball back from Arrow as well.
Yeah, perfect timing. Perfect timing. I was just looking at that myself. Yeah, so it looks like Liereyy will steal back a boar. One big difference there is that Error sent his sheep to the corner while MbL sent his sheep all the way home. He actually does have the 2 sheep that he stole from TaToH. So TaToH will be minus that extra 200 food from the sheep and a lost boar, whereas Error will steal a boar. He'll have his own boar stolen back, so nothing really gained from him, but he will subtract 200 food from his opponent's economy. So Error able to do some damage to Liereyy, but MbL probably getting the better of that matchup. However, looks like Liereyy is now doing what? Is this Lierey's? Lierey's Eagle Warrior just seems to be taking the long circuitous route around back to his TC. What's going on there?
Yeah, it's actually MbL did the same thing earlier because he's trying to keep the ball busy until the veils under his town center are actually finishing that ball, so he doesn't have 2 boars laying on the ground at the same time to have a Lazar DK raid.
And look at this, he'll do it with 2 food left on that board, chews it up, finishes it, and pops his villagers out to finish the job. Absolutely beautiful micro there. Wow.
Yeah, great timing of him as well. It's really nice to see these kind of little things that pro players are just willing to do to just get its slight edge.
Yeah, that slight edge indeed. That was beautiful. Go ahead, what were you going to say?
I would just want to mention that we see all players getting a barracks up right now. As with Mesa Wars, it's kind of to be expected to see the Drushes coming out. It's kind of interesting that we have the Aztecs and the Mayans on mirror, because obviously the Aztecs will be going for 5 militia Drush because of the free loom, and the Mayans going for 3. So it's kind of interesting that there's no mismatch, because obviously the Aztecs would have an advantage otherwise. So I find it kind of fun to see. On the other hand, it would be really interesting how players would handle the differences, because obviously in the Feudal Age, the Drush with the Aztecs is going to be great, but transitioning into Archers is going to be really nice and easy for the Mayans with the cheaper Archers.
Actually, I totally agree with you, but I'm interested also in, I don't know if you see TaToH's Eagle. TaToH is just about close enough to these sheep right now. I can't imagine he's going to head to that corner, but MbL and TaToH's Eagles both found those sheep just about at the same time. We almost saw some sheep stolen. Yeah, one big disadvantage to drushing here for TaToH is that his Eagle just took a ton of damage, and he's so far behind on food. Losing a board there, and you said he pushed some deer, but I don't think he pushed a lot. So it seems like he's going to be a little bit have a little bit of difficulty with food here in the early game, whereas MbL will have that extra food. But yeah, we should see a nice game going down here right now. The Drushes are taking on each other for the time being between Error and Liereyy. Seems to be equal numbers there. Eagle, though, going down early from Error. Error's going to lose... he's going to lose a bit of that Drush. The Eagle staying alive for Liereyy would be pretty useful. It looks like right now it will stay alive. So Lierey's going to win that fight with 1 Militia, 1 Eagle. Probably not going to be able to do too much damage, but can certainly roam in here and annoy some Vils, idle some Vils, and get good scouting on his opponent. Meanwhile, his opponent Error has no ability to keep an eye on him at all.
So that's going to be a side edge for Liereyy, but something interesting. Earlier I mentioned that we're probably going to see a 5 militia Drush going out for the Aztec players. However, that is not true. We actually see 3 militias for both Aztec players right now. It's probably they are not willing to invest this much food. And we see MbL actually clicking up to Feudal Age right now as well. TaToH is still a bit of Feudal Age, should be able to up anytime soon, but obviously due to missing that boar and the 2 sheep, he's going to be a little bit later. He's also on the defensive side with his Drush, but yeah, I think he should be able to make it up to Castle not too hard, unless the militias are going to do something extraordinarily well.
Yeah, right. Excuse me. Right now, MbL roaming around in the backside. 3 militia, relatively high health. Will push TaToH off of that gold for now. Not going to be able to pin that one Vil inside there. Going to be chasing her around for the time being, but certainly slowing down TaToH's gold timing. Feudal Age will be in first for Liereyy, second for MbL. There'll be a couple of shakes of a lamb's tail ahead of their opponent. Drush being cleaned up on the backside there by Error. Still roaming around with the Eagle Warrior is Liereyy. He's going to get more information. Oh no, Villager picked on the top side by MbL. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw it. One Vil going down. It was really nice of TaToH to try and trap the militia, but it was kind of a shame that getting his own field stuck in there kind of guaranteed him to lose him. He has some militia left over himself now, so he might be able to move to MbL and maybe try and do a little bit, but it's already so late in the game that's not going to be very effective.
MbL going immediately archery range blacksmith. Looks like we'll see a range from Liereyy as well. Range blacksmith for the teal player. We're going to see blacksmith market from Error. Error's trying to use those as part of a wall to maybe go up to the castle age here. I don't know, man. It's going to be awfully difficult to block himself in, but market blacksmith right now for the blue player. Looks like for the time being, all of the early aggression has been cleaned up. TaToH is keeping his militia back at home. He's going to go market blacksmith as well.
Okay, this is something I find really interesting because usually when you see the Drush coming out for the Essex plays, you see them transitioning into archers from Castle Age on. Now we see TaToH actually dropping the marker blacksmith, hence he's not going to get an archery range, which is pretty odd to me. Like, you could think like maybe he was trying to save wood, but because he Drushed, he obviously had a barracks already, so it will be just as expensive to get the archery range up instead of the market, so I'm not really sure why he's getting the market here. Next to that, we actually see a really interesting difference between the main players, because they kind of have two options after Drushing. Either they can wait a little bit longer and go for the castle drop in Castle Age, which seems to be the plan of Error here, as he's on stone already, stonewalling as well. Whereas Liereyy is actually going for double archery range for now, and isn't on stone yet, so it seems like Liereyy is going to play more aggressive at this stage, whereas Arrow is trying to get a cast out, go for the plumes, maybe go a bit for raiding, and it's actually nicely stonewalling himself. So I wonder whether Liereyy is actually able to go aggressive here.
So Lierey's going to have...
Actually kind of nice for Arrow, because he has a pretty okay map to stay inside these walls for a while. Can probably extend to the back, as he has 2 extra golds there. So I actually really like what Arrow is doing here right now. He doesn't really need to go into archers, because Liereyy can't harm it at this point, and from here on I would like to see his caster going up for plumes and just get extra TCs up to stay ahead in eco.
Yeah, I think the issue is going to be that the teal player Liereyy here is going to recognize pretty quickly that he can't get through these walls, and he's going to change his focus to TaToH, one would think. But we'll see if that goes down in the long run. Militia coming in from TaToH, they will be walled out for the time being. MbL is going to pass those like ships in the night with his own archers. 8+1 archers headed toward the red player, and he's already Xing the gold of red, and we can see Liereyy already making a transition to sending that army toward TaToH. Crossbow already in for the teal player. Castle Age in for everybody. TaToH's going to need some units here to defend himself. He's going to drop a TC on that top wood line, but that gold that MbL has X'd, which he and his teammates seem to be heading straight toward, is not yet TC'd. It's not yet protected.
Yeah, that gold is going to be really awkward for TaToH. We have, by the way, a second TC coming up for Arrow, and also his castle. So it seems like Arrow will be in kind of a good spot, but as you mentioned, Liereyy will simply move to TaToH from here on. And now the question is, will TaToH be able to withstand this without taking too much damage, so Arrow can actually give some payback to Liereyy in the long run, or is he just going to be killed that bad that it's going to be transitioning into 2v1s for TaToH and Arrow?
So TaToH's Mangonel is out right now. He's defending MbL fairly well. Hasn't got a shot in on those archers. MbL with a couple good splits will eventually be able to grab down that Mangonel. He needs to take down the Vil first, I suppose, but now he is into crossbows, pushing that Mangonel back. Liereyy roaming around the top side. He's going to find that top TC, and he's not going to go past it. If he kind of walks past that, he can get to the gold, maybe in time to deny the TC, but it looks like TaToH's TC on that back gold will go up. So the raiding here may not be that effective. TaToH's got 3 TCs down, and he's protected on that gold, or he will be in about 30 seconds. So it looks like he will stabilize his side of the map, as you said. His teammate building up that castle, presumably going with plumes there on the top side. Let's see. Yep, absolutely. Starting to build those out so he can do some raiding. The teal player will be mostly walled in, but there are some cracks in his in his zone, and it's mostly just palisades for the time being. Teal army roaming around looking for some damage. MbL's army has split to the top side of the map, but not finding a whole lot of opportunity to take down Vils. So TaToH here is going to defend this pretty well with 3 TCs, one would think. I don't think he's going to lose too many Vils.
His second TC placement, because he kind of walled on in the middle, even though they could probably have moved in between his market and blacksmith and continue to the gold, but for now they just ran straight at his TC, so they weren't really able to make a move on the gold. So TaToH was actually in a better spot than I expected him to be. Obviously, we saw the Siege Workshop coming up, and Mangonel is going to do some work. My only concern for now for TaToH is if the 1v2 is going to continue and either MbL or Liereyy actually bring some siege to this place, he might actually struggle to defend. But at the same time, I don't think it's going to take too long before Error is able to make a more aggressive move, as he probably wants to try and raid with some plumed archers. Now both MbL and Liereyy are kind of walled in, but as you mentioned, mainly palisade walls.
Yeah, palisades.
So that isn't going to stop these plumed archers for long.
Palisades for the time being will hold the line, but it's not going to take long. TaToH's doing a good job to keep his Mangonel alive. He is losing some villager time. He's lost a couple of Vils, but otherwise has done a pretty nice job defending. Plumes roaming around in the center of the map here for the blue player Error. Error's looking for somewhere to hit, and he will find stone walls on that side of Liereyy. Lierey's going to stonewall up the side that is going to be hit by those plumes. He's doing a good job to keep an eye on where those plumes are, just sending a couple of low HP crossbows to keep an eye on his opponent. MbL has for now left TaToH's area. He's going to let TaToH defend there with double mangonels and kind of leave him alone. Villager count for the time being, Liereyy on 62. He is out ahead in the lead, but everybody else is around 50. And it looks like we're going to see this one continue for quite some time. Nice defense early from TaToH. Nice TC location, like you said. Stabilizes the ship, and his team is going to be just fine.
From here on, it's actually going to be really interesting, because you can see that MbL is a little bit behind on Vil count. Obviously, this is partially because, well, he's getting raided right now pretty nicely by the plumed archers. But what I wanted to say was, he was sitting on 2 TCs, and 1 TC actually pretty long. But as you can see, he is moving up to Imperial Age as quick as possible, and that's something really important in those Meso wars, because the first one going to hit him, transitioning into Eagle Warriors is going to have a great time, because we all know how effective these Eagle Warriors are against any kind of archers, really.
Yeah, and MbL will...
And from there on, I think MbL has a really good chance to do a lot of damage, and I wouldn't even be surprised if we see Liereyy slinging him a little bit, but I'm not sure if they plan on doing that. He doesn't have a market yet, but it will be interesting to see.
So MbL has a nice back gold pile that's going to be relatively safe for the time being. It should not be bothered by those plumes. He's going to build out a TC on the secondary gold to the side, which I think is brilliant. So he'll have safe gold, and he'll be relatively safe at home. He can start building up Eagle Warriors, like you said. He's already started out with 3 barracks. He's got those. It seems like they're pretty active. I see units garrisoned. Liereyy right now is roaming around. He doesn't really have an army big enough to take on these plumes, I don't think. +2 damage for both players, but obviously plumes with the higher HP will probably win that matchup. The teal player is basically just roaming around, maybe trying to keep his opponent busy for the time being. Error going Imperial, MbL hitting Imperial now. Let's see when MbL kicks into gear and starts sending forward Eagle Warriors. We're seeing TaToH stonewalling himself in now. But he's also, yeah, he's stonewalling in quite a lot of good resources there, so he'll be relatively safe against the Eagles. So we're going to need a siege-based push, I think, because we're going to see stonewalls all around the map for everybody.
I really like TaToH putting down these stonewalls. He obviously spotted these additional barracks, so he knew MbL was going up, and it kind of implied that he's going Eagles, obviously. Kind of interesting how Error of the other team is actually going for Imp instead of TaToH, because obviously both civs have their own unique plumed upgrade. Sorry, I mean Eagle Warrior upgrade, where Garland Wars for the Aztecs is actually going to give the additional attack, and then we have the other upgrade, Eldorado, I believe, for the Mayans giving additional HP. I'm not sure which one I would prefer in this scenario, to be honest, because it seems like both players will be laying siege, where usually I would prefer the attack for raiding, but because both players are kind of in solid positions right now, I might even consider the bonus HP.
So while you were given that description, we did see Liereyy lose an army of crossbows to quite a few plumes, but that is not terribly consequential. Second castle coming up for Liereyy. As you said, we're going to see the blue player here in the Imperial Age relatively soon. Has he started building out barracks is the question. No, it looks like he's still going with more castles. So I don't think he's thinking about eagles just yet. Just one barracks down, the initial one. But we may see that transition as we go. Imperial Age coming in for Liereyy. He'll be the third person there. TaToH for now is pretty much walling up and trying to boom his way back into this game. His stone walls have thwarted MbL's initial eagle push. MbL's got about a dozen eagle warriors now roaming around the map, but they're not going to find a whole lot of area to push on because, as you said, both Error and TaToH have stonewalled up and have defended nicely. So a pretty nice early defensive game. It is going to be a game that's going to go post-Imperial here. We're going to see these players continue to build up ecos. MbL has really put a lot of his resource into aggression, and he's got to find a way to transition that spent resource into villager kills or army kills. Right now he's just roaming around the map, and it's not doing him any good just yet. He's going to have some beefy, nice, elite eagles, but he doesn't have anywhere to send them just yet. Blue player actually sending back a huge army of elite plumes. Are you seeing that, Wick? Oh,
yeah,
boy.
I'm seeing it. He wants to pick off these eagle warriors as much as possible. But yeah, as you mentioned, it's not really paying off for MbL right now. I mean, both players simply walled, Eagle's not dealing any damage, and it simply cost him quite a bit of eco to get up to Imp earlier, because he was just sitting on 2 town centers all this time was going up. He's on 3 now, but it will take a while before we will be back up to the Ville count with the other players. And one thing I would like to mention as well is Aaron not going Eagle Warriors from Hiln, and yet still going Imp kind of early is still a really nice decision in the main walls, because it allows him to push with traps. As you can exactly see, 3 traps moving forward at this point means he might be able to take down some of the castles of Liereyy here, which is going to be really important for the Plumed Archer production. But it's kind of a shame because the traps came out kind of late, and now Liereyy actually has his own traps out as well.
Onagers in for the teal player, Liereyy. Decent shot there with one Onager, trying to pick off plumes there, I think, with a couple of trebs at the moment. Castle did get deleted there by error. Siege Workshop and houses coming up. As you said, the blue player will have a couple of trebs out here pretty early. He's going to start putting pressure on that castle. Rams coming in. That ram will maybe snipe this treb. Nope, not quite. Just a couple Onagers there for Liereyy able to defend. So Liereyy is thinking about defense for the time being. He's trying to slow down this mass of elite plumes from his opponent. Right now, the plumes from Liereyy are not elite, so he will be a little bit disadvantaged there in the one-on-one fight. His castle's on the hill, though, and his siege is doing a good job to hold this off. He's getting a decent number of good shots with those Onagers. Oh boy, he's getting in a really good number of good Onager shots here.
The Onagers are really paying off. It's kind of a shame that one of his castles went down, because he had such a nice position on this hill, but not having cap ram research right now is kind of painful for Liereyy. And Siege Ram is even just too, yeah, it's just true for Error as well.
So in the meantime, we're seeing the red player, TaToH, really sending a lot of villagers around to do some stonewalling here. He's going to try to team wall up his entire side, and for the time being, he's going to do it because MbL lost those initial eagles. He's not able to put any pressure on that side. I don't think he knows what's going on in the fog of war. Treb's still working on the front for Error, putting pressure on both of these front castles. Lierey's done a decent job to defend, but he may still lose all 3 of his front castles, which is absolutely going to be a backbreaker for him. Blue player...
All of MbL's eagles are moving towards the push of Error right now, though, so that's going to be kind of a risky scenario. I mean, it's kind of a shame that Liereyy lost almost all of his army trying to defend, so now they are like playing 1v1 and then followed up by another 1v1, so it isn't as effective, and the eagles are just forced to back off right now.
Yeah, so MbL reinforcing
a little too late to join forces, in my opinion. And as what you mentioned, considering the walls, I think TaToH is really like, hey, this game is going to last for a long while, so let's secure these wood lines in the back. Let's make sure we have a safe trade route, because that's going to be really important, because these civilizations rely on gold units quite a bit. I mean, they have good helps and skills, but their gold units are just so insane.
So TaToH's team
so
wall
it's nice to have that safe trade.
TaToH's team wall has been completed. As you said, MbL is just a little late with those eagles. It looks like he's ready to go in for an engagement here. Gonna run in and maybe snipe a treb or two, but he's taken a lot of great damage from those elite plumes from his opponent Error. Right now, we do see the Onagers kind of lagging behind this push. They're kind of staying out of the range of the castle arrow fire, but MbL will get in. He will snipe all of those trebs, and that's really going to help his teammate. Castle will survive on just a couple of HP. So for the time being, Liereyy is going to be alive. He and his teammate will lose a lot keeping those castles up, but for the time being, those castles will stand. MbL sending more eagles over, about another dozen of those. TaToH still with not much military on the map. He's got 4 military units for the time being, and he's just done a good job to team wall and boom up. Right now, 120 Vils for the red player, 120 Vils for Liereyy. Both of those players seem to be booming. And their two teammates have a little bit of an army on the field, but for the time being, a bit of a stalemate in the middle of the map. You gotta love Error's ability to get those 2 castles, though. That's going to be really, really nice for him, taking over a little bit of territory there.
Yeah, it isn't too surprising that TaToH doesn't have too much army right now because he's hard slinging arrow at this stage. So we finally see TaToH moving imp. He's on quite a high Vil count, so he probably will be able to transition into armies soon. He's also starting trade right now. So I think TaToH will join in a while, but for now he's been really putting his effort into slinging arrows, so he's able to pick this fight really nicely. And it has been kind of working out because Error had a good push, but it seems to have stagnated a little bit, or maybe even turning against him at this point.
Yeah, so Error here has been slung about 4k of everything except for stone, and as you said, his momentum is starting to slow down. He does have a lot of elite plumes, but he doesn't have the siege to back it up too much. Couple of trebs coming in. He's going to need to be able to hold that area, though. There's no castle for him to camp under anymore, and therefore it's a little bit tricky for him to win that fight. Onager's still positioning around. These trebs will go down pretty quickly, and it's not a very good play there from the blue player. He brought those trebs forward a little bit too aggressively. Now he's going to lose them basically for free. Starting to build out barracks, but he is a little bit too aggressive in that barrack positioning because a lot of those are under a lot of pressure as we speak, but we are seeing an Eagle Warrior transition for the blue player Liereyy.
Yeah, I think what I would have liked to see is maybe put the barracks on the side or in the back so that Liereyy and MbL wouldn't know he's transitioning into Eagles yet, because MbL's map is still very easy to raid. He has some palisade walls and that's about it, so it would be really nice if he had this surprise effect where he could just raid MbL, but obviously he doesn't have all the information we have. It would be nice to maybe have some scouting and check whether raiding still is possible. We see, by the way, TaToH going for Onager now as well and adding siege workshops in the base of Error to help him out.
So MbL will build up a castle on top of the hill near this extra gold pile that TaToH was once mining, starting to take over the late game gold on the map. Very important. The team wall for TaToH and Error is going to pay off because they will be trading. They've already started doing so, but they control very little of the map, so they're not going to be able to mine as much as their opponents. They're not going to have as many wood lines as their opponents. Right now, Lierey's trebs and his onagers are alive. A couple of random siege rams coming in from the blue player, but for now, those trebs will roll through and grab down some buildings and do some damage. So it's 2v1 on that side, and as we speak, MbL putting up a pretty aggressive bit of team walling on his side of the map. Do you see that massive team wall? The Great Wall of China is going up for MbL, but it will be worth
Trump
it.
would be proud.
MbL wants to be on Team China. He wants to join SY. Right now, Onager's getting sniped on the front there. TaToH just still with no army, still booming up and slinging his teammate. He's going to have to get in gear because right now his teammate's sort of, he's certainly losing that side of the map. They need something to go.
He's actually losing.
Go ahead.
At really high speeds right now. TaToH needs to get his Onagers out right now and maybe slow down the push, but the Onagers are going to struggle against the Eagle Warriors, and I'm not sure if Error is actually able to withstand this for any longer.
Error is in a whole lot of trouble. He's in a world of hurt, as my buddy Salty would say, but right now, resources are pretty dry across the map. Nobody's banking anything. Eagles roaming in and raiding. Blue player on 118 Vils, but we can see that number dropping right before our eyes. Those Vils are going down very quickly. Couple of onagers in there from TaToH to aid this, but I don't know. I mean, even if they put this fire out, it's going to be really difficult to imagine them getting back in this game. The other team is just...
I think the Eagles are just going to pick it off at ease. And you can just look at the military count right now. It's triple the military for Liereyy and MbL, so they're really taking the game at this point, it seems. They do not have any trade up, but they still have plenty of gold mines, as MbL was kind of getting map control in time to get more gold for himself to continue this Eagle Warrior production.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying, is that even if this push can be thwarted by Error and TaToH, the map control has absolutely been won by MbL and Liereyy, and they're going to control all those extra gold piles, or many of them, and they will have much safer trade than their opponents because their walls are still up. MbL in the back raiding the trade a little bit. He will get most of those eagles cleaned up, but Liereyy is still grinding forward slowly with a couple trebs and a couple onagers, making a little bit of a push. It looks like most of the fires have been put out, though, at this point. Elite plumes in for the teal player, but those are starting to dwindle, so it looks like Error will stabilize the ship, and we'll see this game continue. But that punch could be pretty decisive. Error only on 98 vills for the time being.
I'm kind of surprised that Error still had the stone available to get the 3 castles up in the back of his base, because getting that plumed archer production back up was a really important part. And that's really helping him back into the game. I suppose maybe TaToH slung some stone, because TaToH doesn't have any castles up, but he did mine quite a bit of stone. It seems kind of even, but at the same time the military count still hasn't refound his balance.
Yeah, MbL sending in the next big barrage of Eagle Warriors here. It looks like he will have 81 military on the field, mostly Eagles, and those will be roaming around looking for some action. Couple of plumes in there from the teal player to back those up. MbL is actually going to take a right here and head toward the team wall. So he's going to go and figure out, I suppose, that his opponent is walled in on most sides. He's ready to make a push, though. 3 siege workshops coming up for the green player, MbL. So he's going to push on the middle of the meaty part of that wall.
I just really want to point this out immediately. Sorry to interrupt, but we see a Peter moving across the middle from Liereyy, and we see the plume and the eagle just grouping, joining forces there. So I think they want to make a hit on the trade.
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to push through those walls quickly. They're going to have siege to back it up, some rams involved. Yeah, that petard is kind of just roaming around now.
I'm kind of disappointed. I thought they wanted to send 2 Peters in and keep it a surprise, but now they're making the push kind of obvious, giving TaToH and Error some time to respawn, but still the military count. Double the military for Liereyy and MbL right now. Kind of awkward that TaToH still isn't able to transition into eagles from here on. It seems like he plans on getting multiple onagers out, or maybe just quick walling with siege workshops.
It's looking awfully good for MbL and Liereyy for the time being. Looks like they will be moving forward with some trebs. With a couple of rams. They'll knock down the main gate there. TaToH's going to build up a secondary wall for the time being to try to hold this out, but 2 massive armies right now, and the diversity here is really very useful. You've got plumes, you've got a treb involved, you've got a couple rams, and you've got a ton of eagles. It's going to be really, really tough to push that back. Blue player has some plumes on the top side, couple of onagers from the red player coming in. MbL with a couple of eagles in the trade to keep his opponents busy for the time being. But that big push on the front gate there, right in the middle of this huge team wall, is eventually going to roll in. TaToH desperately trying to put down a secondary wall. He will probably get that wall done. Castle coming from the blue player as well. But they are just ceding map control right now, and they need a really, really good fight. Plumes coming in from the blue player en masse. They will be backed up by onagers for the time being. MbL's Eagle Warriors are a little bit forward, so this one treb is going to get caught out probably for free here. Castle comes up for MbL, putting some good pressure on those elite plumes. MbL and his teammate Liereyy need to work together here, because this is a big, mean-looking army from the red player.
MbL really needs to respawn on the siege coming out from TaToH from here on. I believe that Error and TaToH are really at a disadvantage here, but the real reason they still stand a chance is the siege being mixed in. The SO can do like tons of damage in this scenario, but needs to be used correctly, and MbL is the one responsible to actually counter it. And we finally see... oh no, wait, it's more barracks from Error coming up, so maybe he will be getting elite eagles out now, but I'm not 100% sure. Nice positioning by Error here in the little oasis, buying him some extra time against the eagles.
Yeah, doing a nice job to minimize the surface area of those eagles. MbL is eventually going to have his push sort of fizzle out. Secondary walls from TaToH will hold for now. So MbL and Liereyy, for the time being, will be held out, and we'll actually see Error and TaToH in the score lead. Massive trade up for those guys. And right now, they've stabilized the ship. It does still seem like a game that they're way behind in. Militarily, they are way behind. But this big army from Blue starting to get dwindled. It's important for MbL and Liereyy to continue. Oh boy, MbL is going to cut off a couple siege onagers. Oh, he's going to run straight past them. He could have cut those 2 siege onagers off from that main army for free and grabbed them down. He will eventually target down one of them and maybe get them both. But MbL now responding. Blue players got some eagles out on the field as well.
Yeah, I just want to mention it is kind of awkward that the only way Error and TaToH have to deal with these Rams are the SOs at this point. But now finally some eagles going out for Error, which might be able to help with this siege. I think that Error and TaToH are indeed still at quite a disadvantage, but MbL, I feel like MbL wasn't using his eagles optimally. Like, he should be sniping as much siege as possible, but he just picked a really bad fight with the plumed archers at one point, kind of negating their military advantage temporarily.
It looks like for the time being, MbL and Liereyy will pull back to the shadow of this castle and regroup a little bit. Some Xing going on here from the red player, thinking about where a push
could
happen.
Now actually the petards are being used.
Whereabouts are we seeing the petards running in? Oh yeah, I see them. Yes, indeed. Petards running in there for MbL, knocking down a piece of the wall, and he will be straight into the middle of TaToH's base. TaToH does not really have a whole lot here. MbL doing a good job to pick an area of the map.
Yeah, they're getting into the
where
trade
there's no
now.
army. Yeah, they're going straight to the trade.
TaToH just immediately resigns. He knows once the raiding gets started in this matchup, you aren't going to stop it. You're not going to stop, just rebuild this wall, especially not with the Rams rain following. Really nice play by MbL and Liereyy to just switch focus from one spot to another. And just really nice. I kind of hoped that they would have gotten into the trade immediately after getting like 2 petards in there and just directly get a trade, because as soon as that trade went down, they could have pushed the game from there on. Don't forget to update the scores, by the way, for both games.
Oh, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I had this weird guy who wanted to join me for a cast, so I was really busy last time. How's things going, man? How have you been doing?